Hello again, everyone, and welcome out. This is Ankit from Maverick Currencies here, and let's begin a market roundup. It's a Monday, August the 1st, the first day of the month, and the first day of this trading week. So let's get into it. There's a lot to talk about, as this is a very busy week when it comes to the news events. So let's get into it. Let's take a look at market analysis and see where things are moving, and so we can make sure we're in the right side of the markets and make adjustments to our trading plan for the week. So starting with the equity markets, so we can kind of gauge what the risk sentiment is. So far, we can see that the markets were not a big mover today. Based on the candlesticks today, it was a bit of a quiet day, a bit of a flat day. We didn't get any extension from that monster week we had last week. So we are just consolidating gains here. So the good thing is that we are not really giving up the gains. So that's a good thing. And then every time we see a big run, we tend to see some sort of consolidation phase before it can move higher. Same thing happening with the World Stock Index. We saw a run and we just consolidating gains here. So the equity market looks pretty steady so far. Now, looking at the cryptocurrency world, this is where I'm not really seeing a follow through. This candlestick chart looks very similar to what we saw back in July, where we got this 2-day run. And that's just this back-to-back run, and that was just gave back all the gains. So we've seen a run over here, and so far we just not seen the extension of that follow-through. So at this point, if you're trading cryptos, just be cautious because these rallies could be powerful. But it's not about just the rally, but it's about the follow-through. And at this point, I'm not really seeing a follow-through. So looking at the market outlook, we're still a +1 to a +2 as far as the outlook goes. We are no longer in that bearish trend. Look at the moving averages are trying to converge here and then trying to cross over. So I think at this point, it's just a matter of timing where consolidation to moving higher might be the initial path the market would take. But remember, this week is a busy week with the news events, and we have a lot of central bank events. We have a lot of the employment reports, three different employment reports that we have to go through. So this is going to be something that is going to develop over time as we get this data out of the way. So first thing first, we're going to start with the RBA rate statement tonight. The expectation is for raising rates by 50 basis points, but as you can see, these are all kind of priced into the markets. So remember, the big move happened when things happen above expectations. So if they can come up with a 75 basis point, I think the Aussie can rally. But if it's a 50 basis point this time around, it seems to be all priced in. As you can see, there's a whole lot to go throughout the week, and which we'll be kind of keeping a track of. So let's do a quick market and currency analysis and see how things are developing so we can be on the right side of the markets. And looking at the cryptocurrency world, we are actually seeing a bit of a pullback across the board. Even Ethereum, that we actually really like as far as the chart goes, that's going through this pullback mode. So at this point, I would rather wait for that confirmation, wait for the previous highs to be broken. Otherwise, we don't want to be getting into consolidation as things are pulling back across the board. Now, currency world is where we are seeing a lot more movement. And one of the themes that, if you noticed today, was that the outperformer was the underperformer, and the underperformer was the outperformer. Like, we're seeing an opposite change in that regime that we have seen markets in for the last few weeks and months. Look at the yen continuing to be the strongest currency overall. The Canadian dollar, which has been holding it very steady, was the worst currency today. So the best currency pair was really the CAD yen. Outside of that, you can see the dollar still giving up the ground over here. So the dollar is pulling back. Even Swiss franc, which had a nice little trend score, is pulling back as well. So outside of really the yen, we didn't really see any other currencies really catching a bit, especially currencies like Aussie and Kiwi, which has been holding it much better in this past few weeks and months. Overall, I think this is where we are just seeing some consolidation across the board. So it's important to keep an eye on what the velocity is, and that's where you want to focus on. And if the yen is where the movements has been, so that's where we want to be. As the week develops, like I said, the Aussie tonight, the RBA. After that, I think I'll have much better outlook on these currencies based on the price action that we get. But as we get these catalysts, we get these, the opportunity to have a trade around those events that could cause a movement. So overall, still a decent percentage day today. I mean, it's nice to see these baskets move by 1%. I mean, that's just always a good start of the week, and especially if you're pairing things like Kiwi CAD. I mean, that's an easy 1% move. Even Aussie CAD, that was a decent move. So I think overall, you just want to make sure that you're doing your relative strength and weakness correctly and pairing them together. Now, looking at the velocity, again, it's always nice to have this +3 and a -3, but notice that this is two currencies that are on this opposite spectrum. The CAD is something we need to discuss because CAD is now given up that 50-day moving average, so the outlook for CAD velocity and trend is actually moving lower. On the other hand, Swiss franc, even though the velocity was a -1, the trend score really hasn't changed much. We have the dollar that continues to be on the downside, so that's where the money is actually kind of coming out of. As far as where's the money going, I think the biggest real change has happened in this dollar-yen currency pair. I mean, if you take a look at dollar-yen, where it was just 3 or 4 days ago, I mean, since the FOMC, that pair has given up almost a 500 pip move. So this is a big change that has taken place in the last 3 trading days. So things kind of look extended, especially with the yen, but I think that's where the velocity is. So we can get to pick a later timing for it to jump back in. But so far, not really seeing a slowdown, but it's definitely getting a little bit more extended. Now, looking at Aussie and Kiwi, I think we'll have a better call later on when we get the RBA out of the way. And let's say if the Aussie weakens, I think the Aussie-Kiwi pair would be a decent pair to take a look at as well, see which one is showing more relative strength and weakness. Outside of that, Euro was a bit of a flat day, 0, and then the pound is a +1. So real action has been in this Aus, CAD, dollar, and the yen, and outside of that, it's just really muted moves across the board. So let's take a look at some possible trades and see where we can find an opportunity, and especially in the next 24 to 48 hours here. And let's just start with the equity market. Let's just start with this currency baskets here and take a look at how the yen is looking, because that's where I have a lot of these questions. Because the intensity of that move is pretty dramatic. The shift that we have seen in this yen pairs is actually very quick, and so far as you can see, this whole script has changed. Where this the yen was continuing to be weakening here, as you can see, all the way here till the 25th. I mean, this thing was still making new lows, but after that, I mean, every rally has been consolidation, breakout, pullback, another breakout, consolidation, breakout, and now we're just seeing a continued extension towards it. So it seems like the yen is where the action is, and outside of that, dollar continues to be weaker. And I mean, I was actually kind of watching this today to see if it gives up that 50-day moving average. You can see that we have a clean break of that 50-day moving average, which we haven't been below it since March and April. So this is a big change, big shift that's taking place within the currency market. And like I said, this is where we're seeing a bit of a regime change, where the same thing has been working out for weeks and months now are now rolling over. Same thing goes with the CAD. I mean, look at the CAD break off that 50-day moving average, and now we are actually sitting lower. So I think at this point, both the CAD and the dollar outlook looks like the trend score has now shifted to a negative score. So that's a important development. We have to just make sure that the trend score and the velocity scores are lining up. But again, same thing since March. CAD has done really well. I mean, this is one of those growth currencies, and then you can see that this thing has slowly started to roll over a little bit here. And I mean, look at the wicks that we have seen in the past month. This has been a difficult currency to trade, depending on whichever direction that you pick. It has been a difficult currency. I mean, right over here, we had a big drop, and then it came with a big recovery. Again, there was a lot of technical congestion around this area, but I mean, at this point, it has a clean break here. So I would love to kind of see a bit of a base or a bear rally to short into. But I think at this point, I do like CAD short here than CAD long. And you can see just a one-way move. Since that Friday's move here, we actually just constantly moving lower. So I actually like CAD here, especially some of these crosses like Aussie CAD and Kiwi CAD. Looks interesting to me. Now, looking at the other growth currency, I mean, there's still muted moves like the Aussie and the Kiwi. So this is clearly where money's not going. But we have to kind of keep an eye and see if this area clears up on the Kiwi basket. I think I like Kiwi on the long side. I mean, we're talking about the theme where the underperformers are turning into an outperformer, and vice versa. I think the Kiwi has a potential to be the strongest if it can actually try to make a recovery above this level. Remember, we were back early this year. The Kiwi looked terrible till we saw that recovery, and we actually saw a very nice recovery. So I think at this point, if I have to draw this little downward trend line, I mean, we are trying to break above this. So if you can get above this area, I think that'll be a green signal to kind of jump on. But at this point, clearly, that's not where we are seeing that clear signal. I mean, the yen has been the one that actually made this very nice little reversal off this downward descending triangle. So at this point, I would love to kind of see a pullback to kind of buy into. I mean, if you go back in time, I mean, this price action looks very similar to what we saw back in April. You can see that this was a nice little 3-day move that we got on a basket. And here we are in June. We got a 3-day move on this basket. So, I mean, if I could go back in time, we have seen this good percentage move, especially this one compares to percentage-wise. If you take a look at from the bottom to the top here, that's a 3.2% on a basket. And over here, if you take a look at it, that's about 3.42% of the basket. So very similar. You can see that in this kind of situation, if it does pull back like this, this creates a good buying opportunity. I think and at this time, we were actually a lot more below this downward trending line, but right now we actually gotten above it. So the trend score looks much better at this point. So I think maybe we'll see some sort of shallow pullback to buy into. But if you really look at 4-hour chart, you'll notice that the bases are really where the opportunity is. I mean, we're not really seeing any sort of big pullbacks. We see small pullbacks, big rallies, and again, some consolidation to buy into. So at this point, if you just follow a 4-hour chart, I think it still looks like it wants to go higher. So it's not really giving us a signal that it actually wants to roll over yet. So remember, sentiment is most important. And when the sentiment is strong, don't try to go against that sentiment. Just try to go with that. And if you don't feel comfortable with this extension here, then there's no point trying to call the turn. Maybe just wait for the right opportunity, because a lot of the yen crosses that if you take a look at, I mean, they have corrected considerably. Like looking at the last 3 days, I mean, this dollar yen has gone from about 1.436 down to 131. That's a 500 pip move. I mean, a lot of these technicals looks great. I mean, technically, you can see that we have a lot more room for this to correct if it actually wants to correct further. So this is where, if this has more further downside risk, then I would like to see some sort of bear rallies or some sort of basis to kind of short into. So that's the outlook that I have outside of these ones. I think another one that I really like how things are turning over here, especially if there's more follow through in CAD. I would love to kind of pair and see how things are moving in Kiwi CAD. I mean, this is where we just pairing up pure relative strength of weakness. You can see we had a nice move on a 4-hour chart, a little shallow, a little pullback, and then here we are trying to climb again. And notice that on a daily chart, I mean, we have gone from about 86 or 87 area down to 81. So there's a lot more room for this to recover. I think any pullbacks that you see will be good buying opportunity. Personally speaking, that's where I am looking at. But I think for this, I need some velocity scores to kind of match up. Aussie Kiwi is the one I'm paying close attention to right now, because ahead of the RBA statement tonight, and we look at the divergence that has been in this Aussie Kiwi here. Clearly, Aussie Kiwi has made a double top kind of pattern over here, falling back in this consolidation phase. So if we can give up this area, this prior resistance, which is now the support, I think we can easily test this support area here at about 109.50. So remember, this is important to keep an eye on, because that's what will allow you to kind of pick. Either I go with Kiwi CAD or even going with Aussie CAD, because I think they will all look similar, but just a matter of being at the right pairing. If they both are going, if the Aussie Kiwi is not really diverging as much, I think we can kind of go with both of those pairings. But if one is leading more than the other, we want to just pick the winner. That's taking place there. Outside of that, I mean, there are other pairings that I've been watching, but they're not really screaming out buy or sell right now. I mean, Aussie dollar is the one that I was watching. As you can see that we actually have slowly reclaimed this area of 70.30 to 70.40. A lot of consolidation that we have seen in this area, but then as we can stabilize over here and this becomes the new support, I think there's more further chances for this to rally. But remember, the RBA statement is tonight, so we'll have to be cautious before we can jump on that trade. So Aussie Kiwi is the one that we'll be paying close attention to tonight. And lastly, I know I had questions about dollar yen. So let's just take a look at dollar yen. I mean, if you look at some of these pairings like dollar yen, It's sitting about 130, 157. The support, the prior breakout, which is now the support, is about 131. So watch out for that level and see if there's any sort of bounces off of that. Same thing goes with CAD yen. Considerable move today, and we are right at the support point over here. So I would love to kind of see if this touches that level, maybe have a bear rally, maybe get this bear rally right above this level or within this range, or charter like base over here, because then that way it will give us an opportunity to kind of jump back on those trades. But those are the ones that I'll be watching for now. If you pay attention to the schedule, and if you go into the Forex Factory, you'll notice that each day there's a theme, there's a currency that we'll be paying close attention to. Today is the Aussie, so Aussie across the board, and Kiwi employment report that we have tomorrow as well. So that's why I like to watch the Aussie Kiwi as well, and especially if the Aussie pulls back off of the RBA and Kiwi stays strong, I would love to kind of take a look at Aussie Kiwi pairing as well. But as the week develops, you can see that there's other currencies to pay attention to with other employment reports. Another one that I need to kind of cover here today is the euro, because the euro, despite that little pause that we have seen here, I mean, I still like this on a further downside. You can see that we have broken that basket. We have broken below that support over here. So if you take a look at euro crosses, I think at this point, as the dollar pulled back, the euro is kind of taking a breather. I mean, euro dollar looks like right here at this point, the euro dollar looks like it wants to go higher. But notice that if it breaks above this level, I mean, this can actually get easily above this 50-day moving average. And I think if you can get above this, I think that would be a bit of a better signal for it. But as far as the basket goes, I mean, the euro still doesn't seem like it's ready to reverse yet. And that's why if you pay attention to currency pairs like Euro Aussie, you'll notice that it still kind of remains weak, which means that euro is not really a great buy. And even though if you take a look at Euro Swiss franc as one of those pairs that we talked about, I mean, so far as you can see, this has been sitting at 97.51 support. I mean, this looks very extended, very weak. So at this point, if there's any sort of continuation to this, I would like to see a bit of a follow through. But so far, I think euro is still a long shot. I think we need to kind of focus on dollar and focus on the yen. And once that kind of goes out of the way, we can maybe perhaps take a look at euro as a currency to see a possible movement. But outside of that, Aussie will be the one across the board. I'll be paying attention to Aussie crosses. So we'll be actually meeting live for this. If you kind of go through the schedule or on the website, like the new schedule is up for August, so make sure you go register for it so you can get those links. RBA rate statement tonight. Just a quick correction. Make sure you double check the time with Forex Factory. It's coming out at 12:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that's going to be 10:15 at a Mountain Time. So make sure you're tuning in at the right time for it, and we'll be taking a look at trades around then. Meanwhile, pay attention to dollar yen, pay attention to Aussie Kiwi, pay attention to risk trends. I think there'll be good opportunities coming in the next 24 to 48 hours. Thanks everyone for joining. Enjoy your rest of the evening. We'll see you guys in the next update. Cheers.